It's Wednesday, May 25th, 2011. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, Hajime no Ippo.
Let's do this.
I don't know if I ever mentioned this on the show because I've been biking a lot, but the best part of having a bike at work is that when it's lunchtime, I can get on that bike and go bike around.
I could do that also, but that would mean going in 2 elevator trips, which is not really worth it.
I got an elevator no matter what because if I go out, every lunch I go out. I'm not staying in the office.
I mean, elevator trips in the freight elevator, where you got to wait for the guy.
I leave my bike outside because the Lincoln Building, One Grand Central Plaza, is run by douchebags who won't let me bring my bike in because I work too early for their tiny hours.
Well,
and also, they suck. Even if you do use the elevator, it takes forever.
Blame the union laborers, not,
Yeah, no, the building is run pretty badly in general. I have a lot of complaints about it.
Right.
But that's one of many. But yeah, so my bike's outside, but I biked over to Fleet Week. I don't know what ship it was, but as I got over to buy the Intrepid, this huge ship, easily as big as the Intrepid, very similarly set up,
so is an aircraft carrier?
I guess. The Intrepid isn't like a super carrier like the modern
know, but
ones.
it is an aircraft carrier.
Yeah. Though it's funny how aircraft carriers are massive, and yet the Intrepid is actually fairly small.
Compared to aircraft carriers that are bigger than it.
Well, compared to modern aircraft carriers.
Yes, that's,
But we're getting the space shuttle, so fuck all y'all.
I still say they should put the space shuttle in Queens where all the rockets are, as opposed to on the Intrepid, where it mainly.
You know why?
The reason they're putting on the Intrepid is so they can charge money for it.
No, there's more to it than that. Do you know which one we're getting?
No.
No, you really don't?
No.
We're getting the Enterprise.
Okay.
You know why we're getting the Enterprise? The Intrepid went and picked it up after a test thing.
Oh.
The Intrepid has a history with that space shuttle.
All right.
Yeah. But the ship pulled in. It was sideways, like perpendicular to the back of the Intrepid. I guess the front of the Intrepid back.
Which side is the front, mister? You don't know.
If you show me a picture, I think I could, guess pretty accurately. Based on the engines and whatnot, I guess. I don't know if it's a screwdriver. I don't know that much about ships. I'm not even going to pretend. I know some. I know a lot about Napoleonic-era ships.
I know they float in the water, and they have planes on them.
I know about the history of nuclear reactors on them and different kinds of drive mechanisms, but...
I know more about Horatio votes than about...
Yeah. I know a lot... For some reason, I know a lot about the armaments on the ships, but I don't know much about the ships themselves.
Thus is the way of, a kind of person who plays video games like Counter-Strike.
Yep.
You know a lot about armaments.
I can tell you all about the FNP-90.
Useless information. Anyway.
Yeah. But the ship was perpendicular, and it was being tugged in, and I happened to arrive just as the entire ship's crew was presenting themselves along the rails. And there's a big celebration, so I watched that, and then I biked back to work.
All right. Exciting.
Yeah. That was the most exciting part of my day until just now, when we're doing Geek Nights.
All right, so let us move along to some newses, right? So
it's Wednesday, anime night.
There's actually some mild news here.
Mild. That's the best we got. Like, hey, we got mild.
Mild. Maybe it's medium news. It's definitely not hot. So this is a rumor, right? But it seems to be there's a great deal of evidence for it. So I'm going to bring it out, right? Basically, someone was interviewing Takashi Miike, director of such films as Ichi the Killer and
my number one movie.
Yeah, tons of awesome violent movies.
By the way, if you have not seen Ichi the Killer, we should do a show on Ichi the Killer.
Didn't we do ultra-violent movies?
No, I think we should do a show just on Ichi the Killer, though I'd have to watch it again.
Well, I haven't, Anyway.
Yeah, if you have not seen Ichi the Killer and you are okay with ultra-violence, I want you all to watch it just so I can see your rage face at the ending.
The thing is, people don't realize, but, Miike, for all his reputation of making a bunch of ultra-violent movies, of which Miike was probably, Ichi was the most violent, he actually is a pretty good film director, period. And he's directed
start
a lot.
watching more of those semi-violent Yakuza movies we used to watch every day.
But anyway, he was being interviewed by someone at the Cannes Film Festival, and he said that his next film, he said out of his mouth, his next film is a court drama based on a Nintendo DS video game. And he said that his
Scott.
it has little blood, and it is a light comedy that he's filming now.
Now, Scott, let's see if we can narrow this down. I mean, we're intelligent people, right? So, I mean, can you think of any DS games that are based on courtrooms?
There are pretty much two. There's Yuzai X Muzai, which is a Namco game.
Yeah.
And Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright. On top of that,
I am so excited about the upcoming Phoenix Wright movie.
on top of that, there was some photographs of what can only be a movie set for a Phoenix Wright game. It could not possibly be anything else. Well, I guess it could be Phoenix Wright Land if there were an amusement park that was going to make a Phoenix Wright Land, but it's not.
So every day they murder a random person in the crowd, and then you have to figure it out?
There was photos that were put on the internet that were definitely not Photoshopped, that were clearly...
Scott can tell by the pixels.
Yes, I can tell by the pixels. It was absolutely... It could not be anything other than a Phoenix Wright movie set. Therefore, it is pretty much... They're making this, or at least they made a set.
Now, the big question really is going to be, how much Miike, is he going to do his kind of crazy stuff?
Well, I mean, maybe during, when they're showing the people being horribly murdered.
I don't think he'll do the ultra violence.
I have a feeling it's going to be incredible. Judging based on the look of that set, I think it's going to be pretty faithful adaptation to the game.
I concur on that front, but I wonder if he'll pull some sort of crazy mindfuck, as he seems to like to do. Like some crazy
it's already
twist,
a crazy mindfuck. It already has a twist. That's the whole point of Phoenix Wright.
But you know him, he'll twist it again. Like, the movie will end with Phoenix.
He's not writing it, he's just directing it.
Yeah, and he'll direct it. He'll add a scene at the end where Phoenix wakes up, and he's actually Nobunaga.
But anyway, this is totally awesome. Like, it's the kind of unexpected thing that is like... sort of
it's a lot
nerd. It's like nerd. Oh man,
it's a lot like when the Scott Pilgrim movie was announced. People were like, oh, they're making a Scott Pilgrim movie. Man, wouldn't it be awesome if they did get Anamanaguchi to do the music?
Well, no, they did the music for the video game.
Oh yeah, the video game. Oh well, how's the video game gonna be? Oh, 8-bit styling, 16-bit styling.
Yeah. It's one of those things where someone does right by the nerds, and there is some sort of nerd collision in the atom smasher that is the entertainment world.
My favorite occurrences of those are when it's the kind of thing that a nerd would say, oh, that would never happen, but wouldn't it be awesome if it did? Because
you would never even think of it that it would happen, because it's such a combination of awesome things that nerds love.
I mean, if 2 years ago you came to me and you're like, hey, what if Takashi Miike made a movie for Phoenix Wright? I'd be like, that'd be
That's a combination
awesome.
Of two things that are really far apart from each other that we like both of, right?
Yep.
It's sort of crazy.
Scott, what if Takashi Miike made an adaptation movie of Sanctuary?
I'm just saying, it's like you have two nerderies that are both your nerderies that are far apart, and somehow they get together. Like, what if there was a My Little Pony manga drawn by the guys do Death Note? It's oh my God. It's like you just take two nerderies that are so far apart and separated from each other.
What's funny is imagine
and
if
you bring them all the way together.
Imagine if you could have a sampling, 1,000 people in front of you, and they represent a perfect cross-section of the modern industrialized world's population. Announcing any one of those combinations will have 1.5 dudes going, ah! And everyone else not even understanding.
Giving a shit, yeah.
So in huge news, the Big Apple Comic-Con was this past weekend. Well, it must be
big if you have the word big in it.
Yeah, and apples, I guess those are good.
I like them.
So we've talked about this before. Basically, the Big Apple Comic-Con is one of many attempts by Wizard to not go out of business.
Well, they already stopped their magazine, right? Wizard Magazine's dead.
Yeah.
So
they're basically going head-to-head. Well, they're going head-to-head with Reed actually, Reed Pop.
Yeah.
Because they split all that off. There's a complicated business relationship. They're going head-to-head with them in the same way that I could go head-to-head in the boxing ring with, Mike Tyson. I mean, technically, I could say I'm challenging Mike Tyson to some boxing, and when he refuses, I can say that, yeah, I want to fight him, but he just won't. Clearly, he's afraid of me. But
well, he would if there was money involved, and then you would just be dead.
Yeah, I would. One punch. Not even a punch. He just look
Well, you
at
wouldn't
me.
see the punch, but there would be one of them.
It might take two.
You would stand there, you would walk up to him, and then you would be...
It might take two because he'd punch me, and I'd be falling over, already dead, but he'd hit me again before I hit the ground.
You'd be surprised how fast you can fall.
You'd be surprised how fast he can punch.
You would probably crumple forwards.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But But yeah, the Big Apple Comic Con was, one of their attempts, and I actually could not find any real press about it or attendance numbers or anything. Like, I wanted to know how it went.
Because it's just one of those rooms full of people selling shit.
I knew some of our, like, Yuko and Ananth were there.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anything to say about it, and no one had anything to say about it. And I looked around online, and I found one article from My Fox New York. And the reason I make this my news is because whenever there's something nerdy, mainstream news, it's like, why do they even bother reporting on it? Because they put forth articles like this. I'll read for you the entire article. Big Apple Comic Con opens in New York City. Wizard World Big Apple Comic Con Spring Edition is in full swing at the Penn Plaza Pavilion. The event is the largest and longest running Comic Con in New York.
Well, it's longest running.
Well, actually, it's renamed, so that's actually kind of not true either.
Nah.
Thousands of fans of all ages got their chance to meet their favorite comic book creators. Comic-Con is North America's largest pop culture tour, and the event runs through the weekend. So it's not the largest pop culture tour.
It is. If you count, because they have so many conventions that there's really no other tours.
But, I mean, what does pop culture tour mean? I mean, what about a band that's traveling and doing like 1,000 concerts over the course of a year?
It's all definitions.
Yeah, but the fact that this article consists of 4 paragraphs, each of them
Well,
is
it's a PR article written by the Comic-Con that the newspaper
No, it's not. There's a separate kind of news article. This isn't the PR article written by the Comic-Con. This is the board reporter and his intern had to cover the event because it was an event and they knew it was happening. So they sent a guy down. They got like 2 minutes of video, and this guy wrote 4 single-sentence paragraphs claiming it was the largest and longest-running Comic-Con in New York, which is interesting because I did a little of my own research. So the New York Comic Con, run by Reed, is in the Jacob Javits Convention Center. The Big Apple Comic Con is in the Penn Plaza Pavilion, the PPP.
Yep.
Not to be confused with the PPP.
Mm-hmm.
It features over 50,000 square feet of conference space. So
That's very small.
it's clearly much larger than the 675,000 square foot Jacob Javits Convention Center, yet somehow a larger convention fit inside. It must be a TARDIS.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a 4-dimensional convention.
I don't know. I wanted to report on like the numbers or like something about the Big Apple Comic Con, but all I could find...
It's just a room full of comics.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to it.
But I was looking for like a blog, someone saying something. Here's what I found. Someone stole 10 grand worth of Neal Adams' original art.
Oh.
It was on his table, and I guess the earth expanded, and it fell through a crack and disappeared. And one of the guests of the con didn't show up because he was arrested in Connecticut for having child porn.
Yep.
And possibly making child porn.
The thing is, that guy's actually kind of a good artist.
Yeah, he does Countdown Mystery something I see a picture of here.
Yeah. Basically, it was interesting because somebody over on the internet had a question, right? They're like, look, I have a piece of art by this guy who turned out to be a pedophile later, right? But it's on sort of a jam piece, right? So a jam piece is when like you get a big piece of paper and you go around to different artists and you might say, hey, you, draw your favorite X-Man. Hey, you, draw your favorite X-Man on the same piece of, you go to different artists and you have each person draw a different X-Man, right? That's like a jam piece. So imagine if you had this pedophile guy draw something on the jam piece before you knew he was a pedophile, right? And it was still in pencil, so you could still erase it. And
so the debate is, do you sell it for more money? Deface the work by erasing
Well, no,
him?
it's a jam piece. So there's art by other artists on the same piece of paper.
But
so
you
either erase it or keep it.
Or sell it.
Well, no, you can't sell the whole piece because you want to finish it. It's not done yet.
But maybe you want to finish it and then sell it, pointing out that that pedophile's on there.
No, it's because you're assuming that you're gonna keep it because it's this jam piece you've been getting worked on at convention after convention.
Well,
for
it's funny
years.
because go back to John Wayne Gacy, the clown serial killer, and he started painting a lot, especially in prison, and all his paintings were auctioned. And people debated, like, at one point, maybe they should sell them and have the money go to, like, charities for victims of crime or whatever. So instead, a whole bunch of people got together, bought up as many of the paintings as they could, and then burned them.
Oh. How much did they pay, though?
I don't know.
And who got that money?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know, if I were him, I would erase it.
Yeah.
if he were found guilty. But the evidence is looking pretty big in this news article I'm reading.
It's pretty much, I mean, we don't know if he's guilty or not, so I would definitely wait at least for that.
Yep.
But the evidence,
as was reported in the news.
In my opinion, the evidence as reported by the news, if accurate, is pretty damning.
Yeah, well,
evidence.
he had a USB stick he gave to a funeral home.
Allegedly.
Yeah. He did have a...
Everything allegedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
He had a USB stick, allegedly gave it to a funeral home. Funeral home allegedly found child porn on it. A warrant was issued. In his house, they found much more child porn.
There is a reasonable doubt
Including
the
a video
child
that
porn could have been put on the USB stick by the funeral home, and then the child porn in his house could have been put there by someone else. Not him.
But the child porn in his house allegedly includes one of his nieces.
It's even worse.
I mean, I guess the funeral home could have kidnapped his niece.
Does he live with anyone?
I have no idea.
Oh, guys.
I'm going to link to this news article. The sad thing is this news article, right, on CBR, which looks like a comic news place, is basically like, so far, the mainstream news hasn't really picked up on the fact that this guy was a comic artist. Kind of hope that doesn't happen. We don't want to get bad publicity.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, right, you were just complaining about how bad the news article about the Big Apple Comic-Con is.
Meanwhile,
right?
this article is like it's 4 paragraphs, but there are multiple sentences per paragraph. It's actually, there's almost journalism here.
Almost. But that's the thing is like, anyone who has an area of expertise, like maybe your science is notorious.
I could
right?
write a better article on the New York or the Big Apple Comic-Con than these people did, and I didn't even go to it.
What I'm saying is anyone has an area of expertise, right? So if we read something in the New York Times about technology, right, we see that it's an awful article almost all the time.
Yep.
Right? And we read an article, maybe not in our area of expertise, maybe something in the food or art section, or, right? And we don't really see anything wrong with it. But the thing is, I can guarantee you the people who are like professional chefs or artists or whatever, they look at that food art section article the same way we look at the technology section article. Almost every article in the mainstream news is awful.
Well,
it's just whatever your area of expertise is,
but
you
at the same
notice
time,
that
Scott,
your articles are awful, but you don't realize it about the other ones.
At the same time, there are degrees. And my main point there is that if you look at this article, while there's probably problems with it and problems with many articles, is at least a number of words strung together with no grammatical errors.
That's true.
Which is more than I can say for many news articles I read.
Well, I'm talking about mainstream media, right? Like the main newspaper.
Yeah.
Because the one you...
Dude, I've read some articles on CNN that look like they were written by kindergartners.
Right, so that first article you mentioned was from Fox or something, right? But
Fox.
Right, but CBR, that's a specialized thing. So if you read news from a specialized source, they're probably going to get it more right if it's in their area of expertise, right? So if you're reading a site that's only technology news, the technology news is on that site might be less crappy than the ones from New York Times, which is generic newspaper. You know?
Yep.
Anyway.
So things of the day. I was watching My Little Pony videos last night, just kind of because.
All right.
And it reminded me how much I like PMVs, which reminded me how much I like AMVs.
AMVs are good.
I'm actually a really big fan of anime music videos.
Good ones.
I don't go to convention contests anymore because
that's a waste of time.
I think we've talked about it before, but I'll sum it up. Even the biggest anime cons have pretty shit anime music video contests because they often insist on showing bad ones, and they have rules that often will exclude good videos from actually being shown or being competing because they'll say like, oh, if you already won a con, you can't win our con. As opposed to, I mean, if I were like Otakon or Anime Boston, I would say you have to have already won another con or
within
we won't
the past
even show
365 days.
Or we won't even show your video.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. But anyway, I really like anime music videos, so I thought this was a good opportunity to pick a random one, but a newish one. And it just so happens I ran afoul of this pretty funny AMV to Hajime no Ippo about Takamura, who is possibly my second or third favorite character.
Yeah, actually, I was reading some of the mangas that pick up after where the show ends, because I've watched every episode.
Yep.
And there was a, I don't know if it was the first favorite character poll, but it was a favorite character poll among the readers who actually read Shonen Jump for real.
Nah.
And Takamura was number one.
Of course. Kind of like Mr. Tokai.
Exactly. Anyway, so I have for you, I don't know if this is actually a valid thing of the day. It's an anti-thing of the day, right?
So it's something bad.
Exactly.
Oh, you want to do like a reverse week?
I don't know.
We should do that. We should do a Fortnite.
This is an anti-thing of the day. Thing of the day is supposed to be the best thing we found on the internet today, or what recently, since the last show. But this is something bad, real bad. So
okay, I was gonna make a joke, but I stopped.
So this is basically a blog post, right, from May 5th, which I guess is
20 days
or
ago.
May 11th. I don't know.
What is it? May 5th or May 11th? This is important.
I can't tell, but whatever
Scott,
day.
what kind of journalism is this?
Because the way the date is formatted on this site is not easy to read. It's like it's like the numbers are just all around.
But how could you confuse May 5th and May 11th?
Because it says 5. There's a big number 5,
All right.
and then it says May/11.
5th of May, 2011.
It could be. It could possibly, but you know. Anyway.
Okay, anyway.
This guy's like, let me read the opening paragraph of this blog post. Folks, it is no secret that I like children. Even as a wee lad
whoa. You know, it is oftentimes I'll read something that is bad, and I'm reading it, and it's like, It is rare for that to happen in the first sentence.
All right. Even as a wee lad back in the day, I would more often than not favor the younger cast members in the anime I watched. And this remains unchanged even till today. However,
I think Daryl Surratt tweeted this article.
He did. That's why I found it.
Yeah.
However, in this time and age, my fondness for the little ones is misconstrued to be malicious in nature. In order to dispel some of that prejudice, I would like to take this opportunity to celebrate Children's Day, which
Wait.
I guess is a holiday.
So, you know what this guy is doing?
By listing 5 of my favorite children in Japanese cartoons.
I saw that article.
Yeah.
I scrolled down to the pictures of his 5 favorite. Wow.
I mean, you think from that opening paragraph, right, that he's basically like, look, I know you guys are probably going to think I'm a pedophile, like, totally dude bro situation, Imagine
'Cause I
Babies
am.
fashion. He's probably thinking, oh, everyone thinks I'm a pedophile.
He's like, dude, I'm bad because I'm dressing up babies.
Yeah, right?
I mean, you're playing, dude,
He's like,
my
look,
shit is fucked up.
What if I had just happened to like
Babies.
younger characters? I have a preference. I like younger characters in anime, which could be legitimate, right? It's sort of like, look, I'm not a pervert. I just, I don't like them in that way. I like them in just, everyone has favorite characters. Some people like, the badass giant characters.
Well, Scott, everybody likes, for example, Chio-chan from Azumanga Daioh.
Exactly, right? So you just like
or
it.
Yotsuba.
Right, you just like them the way, in a totally
Or Sasami, because according to this guy, she's technically 400 years old, so it's okay.
A totally non-malicious, normal liking, right?
Yeah, but
so
this guy pretty much sounds like he's straight up saying, like, I want to have sex with little kids.
Well, in the first paragraph, it sounds like he's not, but then as soon as he actually lists the characters, he posts really perverted panty shots, and he's like, yeah, I want to take them to town, and he's like, he's at least I got to give the guy credit. He's not hiding that he's a pedophile. He's like, yep, I want to rape little girlies.
To his credit, it sounds like he doesn't want to forcibly, it's not rape.
Okay.
And 2, at least he's taking his predilections out on 2-dimensional characters that don't exist.
But the thing is, right, it's like, typically what you have is like the Love Hina situation where it's like, it's perverted, but it's not perverted, right? There's some sort of cover, like, Chubra. It's okay, I'm learning about underwear.
Love Hina, it's a wacky comedy.
Right, there's some sort of cover for the pervertedness, but this guy doesn't even bother with cover. He's just, a sick fuck, and it's like, this is the perfect example of all that is wrong with these kinds of anime people and most of the new animes that are all moe perverted crap.
I would argue that they're similarly messed up people who just don't know anime exists.
Right, but I'm just saying is that, this kind of shit gives normal people, if they see this, they think all anime is this now.
But Scott, by the same token, I mean, most people think that all IT people are fat Unix Santas and all computer science guys are like Jonathan Colton.
They aren't?
Yeah.
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 Okay, I have my point exactly.
Well, it's funny because I'm not really an IT guy. Like, I'm an engineer. It's kind of all the IT guys I know tend to do more IT stereotypical
But anyway,
stuff.
this is horrible. But you have to see it just so you can it's like you got to see what's the worst so that you have a good perspective on the world.
Wow.
Of disgusting, horrible people.
All right. In the meta moment, we will be at PAX Prime and PAX Dev probably and all that stuff in the far future. The book club book is Isaac Asimov's Foundation. You should be in the forum because it's rocking.
Let's keep it short.
Let's keep it short. Nothing else.
Recess is coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, all that stuff. Anime. We watched an anime.
We did watch an anime.
Scott watched all of it. I watched 5 episodes.
Yeah. So
because apparently Scott has nothing else to do.
I got plenty to do. You know how much I got done? Lots. Anyway, so Hajime no Ippo is a shonen fighting manga / anime about boxing, the sport of boxing. So I guess it's not shonen fighting, it's shonen sports, but it's the same formula as Initial D or as Dragon Ball or as any of those shonen Naruto or Hikaru no Go. It's the same formula, and it's about boxing, and it's been going for an incredibly long time. There's like hundreds and hundreds of chapters. The manga is still going as far as I can tell. The anime consists of a 75-episode TV series from about, it came out, about a decade ago. Then there is a 1-episode TV special that is sort of like Champion Road. It's like, it's a long episode that follows up the 75-episode series. Then there's an OAV single episode, and then there is a newer series that is 26 episodes that came out just a few years ago that just pretty much picks up right where the other stuff left off, and the anime, as far as I can tell, is almost a direct translation of the manga. Like, I read a couple manga chapters that overlapped with the anime that I saw, which was all the anime, and it was effectively identically the same. Like, the manga is storyboards for the anime 99%. Now, why do we care about Hajime no Ippo at all? It's just another shonen fighting thing.
Well, on one end, forget our taste. Just look at popularity. It's just one of those kind of always there. A lot of people watch it. Generally, just really, really popular.
Well, the thing is, it's not really, really popular, right? It's really, really popular among the sort of, the anime people who care enough about anime and are hardcore and want to watch the serious good animes. Those people seem to like Hajime no Ippo and talk about it a lot. But among the general anime fandom in America,
if you're
it's
just talking about
unpopular.
America, most people have never heard of it.
Never heard of it and don't care.
I didn't know much about it until relatively recently.
I knew that it was an anime about boxing.
It just wasn't on my radar because I was watching other stuff.
Yeah. Well, it was on the list, because people kept talking about it, but
Yep.
I didn't watch it at all. But anyway, so why do we care about this shonen fighting, just another formulaic show? Well, the thing is, while it is entirely 100% formulaic, it is an incredible, I don't want to say the best, but an incredible execution of that formula, right? There are plenty of shows that follow this formula poorly.
Well, even shows I like Initial D, I will say I like Initial D. Initial D's kind of stupid,
and it has a lot of problems.
It does not pull off the formula as well as Hajime no Ippo does. The only reason Initial D ekes past it in my personal like is because of the music. I happen to like that music a lot.
Yeah, but like something like Rave Master or
oh my god,
the Naruto anime or Bleach, right? Those actually execute the formula very poorly compared to Hajime no Ippo, right? They drag out the fights
Mustn't
excessively.
forget the Final Fantasy anime.
Yeah, right? There's plenty of, shows in the same exact genre that are just bad. They don't, even though they're the same show on the foundation, the animation's not good, the character designs aren't as good.
At least Bleach and Naruto are well animated and have good characters.
Yeah.
They got something.
The humor isn't as good. The stuff about it is just not as good. Even though the story is the same thing, only replace boxing with ninja fights or whatever else you want to replace it with. The other thing about Hajime no Ippo, all right, is I learned that the anime didn't start until after there was already a whole bunch of manga, right? So something like Naruto, actually, the anime gets ahead of the manga or catches up to it.
And then what happens?
They filler episodes and tournaments, right?
Guys, y'all got to come back home to do the tournament.
Whereas Ippo is still, even today, far behind the manga. If you watch all of the anime, as I have, you can go to a manga chapter number 400, and but there's like way more than 400 chapters, hundreds more, right? So they still, if they're going to animate it, they have tons of material to work with, and they can get the pacing exactly right. They can make the fights last the correct number of episodes. They don't have to drag them out for 10 episodes while they wait for another manga chapter.
Now, that is what I really like about the show. It is one thing Initial D did well, too, is that the formula, like the fights keep me engaged the whole time. And they don't just kind of go back and forth. Like a lot of crappy shonen fighting shows will kind of go back and forth with nothing happening. Everything that happens in the fight matters.
Yep.
Right then and there.
And and most of it is just building suspense, right? And the only really negative thing I can say about the fights is that at least, is that the fights have sort of this, every single fight is the ultimate battle, right? At least every fight that matters, almost every fight that matters, is like so epic they both go down 10 times to the final round, whereas in real boxing, a lot of fights are uneventful because they're sort of one-sided-ish.
Like all those Mike Tyson fights.
Yeah, it's like, you see people with these boxing records of 62 KOs or something. Well, that's because he fought a whole bunch of chumps that he knocked out in the first round, right? And you don't, all the fights that are important to the plot of Hajime no Ippo are always epic fights. And if
But everything's like that. I mean, would Sanctuary have been nearly as interesting if it kept showing him just taking a poop?
No, but I mean, a couple times the fight's got to be lame, right? So
or like he goes to fight with the senator in America and the guy just is a pushover and he just wins.
I think there was one non-epic fight in Hajime no Ippo.
Oh, yeah, he fights that bear. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
The
other thing is this show, right, the 75 episode first series at least, right, was made by Madhouse, and they made it pretty much right after they made Trigun, and it was directed by the same guy who directed Trigun.
Yep.
And it seems like it was pretty much the same people, and you can tell, the music is similar, it has to be made by the exact same people, and it was actually the last hand-animated, cell painted show done by Madhouse. That's
a very nice piece of trivia you can lay on people.
Yeah, after that they went digital, so it's all of the animation qualities and musical qualities and production qualities of Trigun are there in Hajime no Ippo, only better, right? So for that aspect, it's got a whole bunch of A+s in its execution.
Doesn't have the same pacifism vibe.
No, it's usually about punching someone's face in.
Yep.
And the show there is a lot of realistic boxing knowledge, because that's how these shows work, right? Hikaru no Go teaches you about Go.
Even Initial D teaches some things about cars.
Some things about cars,
that
right?
are reasonably close to being
Hikaru no
almost
Go
accurate.
also has ghosts telling you what move to make.
Hajime, why do you think you always lose at Go?
Yeah,
Where's your ghost?
Hajime no Ippo has a lot of real boxing stuff, but it also has lots of basically superhero nonsense. Everyone has special attacks, and people take everyone takes some unreasonable amount of damage. They would have been severely brain damaged by now.
These characters are all gonna have. There's a Punch Drunk Love, the movie.
Yeah.
Punch Drunk is a term. There's a medical term for it now that basically is the dementia that happens if you're a boxer.
Yeah, they do refer to punch drunkenness, and it does take place in the plot. And they are like, you got to throw in the towel. He's gonna be permanently damaged, and there's a lot of, they talk about it. It's
Dude,
not
I'm 5
completely,
episodes in. They're already permanently damaged.
Yeah, it's not completely ignored, but the thing is, the amount of damage they portray versus the amount of damage it would take to incur permanent injury is not matching, right? It's like, they're like, oh no, if he takes any more hits, he'll be, he might get brain damage. And it's like, actually, he's probably already been brain damaged severely based on that number and level of hits. And, so if you're looking for ultra realistic boxing, you're not going to get it, but you will learn about boxing. And just like you watch any shonen thing, if you get into it, you'll suddenly care about whatever it's about. If you watch Hikaru no Go, you start wanting to play Go. If you watch Initial D, you start wanting to drive cars. If you watch Hajime no Ippo, you start thinking that you could be a boxer, and then you say, wait a minute, I don't want brain damage. And I'm way too old to start boxing now. Way too late. You got to start that shit when you're 18. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Scott's seen all of it. We're not going to spoil anything. This is a review to get you to watch it. But one thing I really enjoy about the show, and a lot of the kind of shonen-y fighting shows I do have this, is that the characters are kind of goony and they're all friends with each other and they rip on each other and fight with each other and just are kind of funny.
Yeah, the cast of characters is pretty good, right? You've got, you got the mom and some other side characters, and it starts out in school but eventually gets away from schools, but some of the school characters stick around. But most of the main characters are all the people in the gym, right? The coach and these 3 other boxers that are in the same gym as Ippo, the main character. I guess we should summarize the plot at least a little bit.
Ippo becomes a boxer.
Ippo is a kid who gets picked on and his mom runs a fishing boat, so he's always working to help his mom with the fishing boat. His dad is dead, we have to assume, right? And so because of that, he doesn't hang out with people really after school. He gets picked on. One day he's getting picked on under a bridge, and some guy comes to save him, who is Takamura, the king of perverts, who is also an amazing boxer.
He's pretty great. I love the scene.
I think he's the funniest character.
After they get him into they're like, all right, you're gonna train at our gym, and the two goons are like, we're gonna train you. Then Takamura's like, nah, I'm gonna train him. Then the old guy's like, screw you all, I'm gonna train him.
Yeah, Takamura is basically the second most important boxer in the show after Ippo, right? It's like if they're not, so sometimes they're focused. Most of the time they're focusing on Ippo's plot, but Takamura's plot is like the second plot. You know, it's like, when Ippo's taking a rest after taking a beating, your Takamura's fighting someone for a championship or something like that, But yeah, so Takamura saves him from some bullies, and then Ippo starts boxing, and then he likes it, and then he advances and levels up and fights.
Like shows that we like, it breaks one of the tropes of these kinds of shows, in that he's the main character, and he is special. He has a lot of raw talent.
Yeah, his raw talent, in Initial D, the raw talent comes from his dad tricked him by giving him a fast car and making him deliver the tofu every day,
But
right?
that was all in the past, so when the show starts, he is already, in the top 1% of drivers in the world.
Yep.
He's already invincible.
In Hikaru no Go, he gets his power from the ghost, right? What other shonen things are there?
But in this show, he basically, it's like, what was that movie? God, the kid who can throw the baseball really fast.
Oh, the one where
Rookie of the Year?
Where he hurts his arm.
Rookie of the Year, I think.
I don't know what it was called. But
I think
yeah.
I saw it in the theater.
I might have.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's sort of like a lot of things, a lot of other shonen properties. Someone gets their powers of being awesome, because of course the main character is like the greatest, right? They get it by fiat or by supernatural events. Like Naruto just has this fox spirit in him or whatever, right? But in Hajime no Ippo, he has some natural talent because he worked on the fishing boat. He was always carrying lots of heavy things to build up his strength, right? Which is sort of a side effect of carrying heavy things. He became strong. And because he was always on a fishing boat, he has excellent legs for balance, right? So that's his natural talent. But that alone doesn't help you box. And he actually builds up his boxing skills by intense training.
Well, his first fight is great. He's basically just defending and doing nothing else, just sitting there getting hit.
Yeah, in his first fight ever, which isn't a real fight, it's just basically sparring the first time he went to the gym. He's basically like, my goal is to make it to the end of the thing, right? My goal is to not get knocked out and just to survive to the end of this fight. So it's sort of like, hey, they're not starting out with some ridiculous thing where he knocks out some champion, in the first go. It's sort of like, look, you've never boxed before. If you tried, you would just get killed, if you walked into the ring. So in fight number 1, you just dodge and defend yourself and turtle up, right? And that's what he does. It's kind of cool that you actually see him even later in the show. He's always working hard, and every time he has a new fight, they follow that same formula of, here's the next opponent. Oh my god, the next opponent is so dangerous. There's no way the main character can win. Oh my god.
Itsuki, what's wrong with you? He'll always win.
Right. There's no way you can win. The next guy is so dangerous. Or sometimes it's like, maybe you can win, but there's always this threat where you're not certain whether he can win or not, right? The opponent is almost always threatening, has some thing about the opponent that makes you not sure if the main character will win or not, right? You wouldn't bet your life on it. And then the main character, Ippo, always trains a whole fuck ton, right, between every fight. They actually show you him training and what kind of training he's doing. And then in the fight, they show you how that particular training that he was doing comes out to help him win. And he wins all the fights because it's shown.
Pretty good, and all the training and everything. It maintains a high quality pretty much all the time.
Yeah,
Trigun, actually, I like the show. It goes way off model a lot.
And the thing is, Hajime no Ippo is easy to stay on model because I think the character designs make it easy, and because the manga storyboards make it easy, right? Whereas Trigun, you're not going to use the Trigun manga for shit, right? It doesn't help you with anything. I think that's also why they change all the Trigun designs. I got hiccups.
Oh, great.
But yeah, the thing is, right, is they show you how the training comes out to help him. And in doing so, right? Oh no, we were talking about the animation, super hiccups, right? So
Wait, so what? The hiccup hit your brain?
yeah, it did. It was I got punched in the head too many times because I was pretending to be Ippo. And I got, anyway, so the thing is, you would think for a hand-drawn show there'd be lots of reused animation, lots of stock footage, right? But really, in all those anime episodes, there were only one. I can only remember one or two, maybe one only recap episodes, right? And even then, there isn't a lot of reused footage, right? It's like, even though he's training again, it's like there's some things that are very quick, like a 2-second clip. You might see them use a whole bunch of times, but for the most part, it's different training and different animation every time. Of course, over the course of what's now a total of 100-something episodes, but 75 of them were hand done, right? So even across 75 episodes, there's very little reused stock footage, you know? And, you know, they might not animate every fight punch for punch the way they do, say, in Cowboy Bebop. And they'll show you a lot of, you know, and there's a flurry of blows, and it's just sort of a loop of two guys going but, you know, they animate all the important parts of the fight, the parts that matter to the plot, to the story of, you know, his training, and to the story of how he's actually going to win. And, you know, every fight is up and down and up and down. So it's, you know, you got animations of guys, you know, passing out, falling down, getting up, right? And the one trick that the manga and the anime both use to extensively, especially during the fights, is sort of putting the camera in the worst place when something dramatic happens, right? So it's like you'll see some guy from the back obscuring the other boxer, and it'll look like the dude just got uppercutted, and it's like, oh, he's going down, right? And then
But no.
there'll be a pause, a suspenseful pause. Maybe the crowd will scream or something like that, or someone will yell something. And then after this, with the exact correct timing, they'll show you the other angle. It's like, oh my God, he blocked it.
Come on, that's the classic. Two guys, guns pointed at each other. You hear a gun go off. They stand there. The wind's blowing, and then one of them falls over.
Yeah, this show does it like 10,000 times per episode.
I mean,
it works every time.
I think Scott liked the show a lot since he watched all of it almost immediately.
Yeah.
I like it okay. I'm going to finish it in the next month or so, like just watching it.
Well, I mean, it sort of drags you in because the pacing of it is the correct pacing. It's sort of like the same pacing as Hokuto no Ken, right? Where the fights don't last a long time. It keeps moving. It keeps progressing. Things that actually matter to the plot are constantly happening. It doesn't drag out with a 10-episode fight. It doesn't have an island episode where a bunch of stuff happens that's meaningless you don't care about. Every single episode moves things forward. And a lot of times they'll do something like they'll end a fight halfway through an episode, and then they'll begin the threat of the next fight in the second half of the episode. So now there was unless you stopped watching in the middle of the episode, it wasn't a breaking off point. It's always a keep watching the next episode point. You know, it's not like really a cliffhanger so much, you know, but if you stop at the end of an episode, you want to see what happens next all the time, if you care. All right.
But I mean, it's a solid show, and if you're an anime fan, you should watch like 4 or 5 episodes of this show just to see if you like it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, and you're new to anime, watch a ton of other stuff. And after you've seen a whole bunch of anime, come back to a show like this.
Well,
watch it again. Make sure.
Well, I think the thing is, right, this show's obviously not for everybody, right? There's a certain kind of person who's gonna.
I mean, if boxers
like this show.
killed your mom while you watched when you were a baby, you might not want to watch.
Yeah, I mean, this show will be boring to many people. But the thing is, if you are going to watch a shonen show, a formulaic shonen show, you should watch this one before you watch the other ones, except maybe Fist of the North Star, right? It's pretty much this and Fist of the North Star and if you're like us, Initial D, but most people not Initial D, right? But if you're going to watch shonen fighting shows or shonen sports shows that follow the formula, make Hokuto no Ken and Hajime no Ippo the top 2 in terms of well-doneness.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geeknights is not 1, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.